Hi again, my second attempt at a weak internet connection and a big cold, so forgive me if I cough and splutter, but I've missed you guys and my ego right now really wants you to have missed me. I have unhooked from Facebook, in fact from my ritual and my routine of life for over the last week. And I took my daughter to Neisner and we just went off grid and just gave myself, which was really difficult for me, hi Kelly, a very unfamiliar place to just allow myself to see what life wanted to make of me, and spending time with my growth partner, with Thalia, at a time when there's just been great fires that have gone through there. Hi Martina. And there was so much contrast between the beauty of nature and the natural order of things in the chaos and the debris of the fires in Neisner, and then just seeing the beauty that was already sort of sprouting up. They had their first rains and it was beautiful. Nice to see you too. I would love for you to join in. So I know I've been really quiet, and during my time away, I really just wanted to share what was coming up for me, because maybe you can relate to some of this, in being able to look at the ebb and flow of life, that there is a natural cycle, a feeding cycle of all things, and amongst just witnessing so many people, just holding space and listening to all the incredible stories that people that lived in Neisner were saying about the fires, and how random they were, and how, you know, it would jump between two wooden houses and burnt the concrete house in the middle, and how many animals were missing, and there was one beautiful horse there that I met that had been burnt really badly in his face, and they thought at one stage he was going to have to be put down, and people missing their cats, and just speaking about, you know, all the grief around this huge big natural disaster that had affected their lives on so many levels, and the losses. And one woman was saying to me how she was in Johannesburg when the fire came, and how random, you know, we always joke about the things of, you know, in a fire, in a disaster, what are the three things that you would grab to take with you out of your whole earthly belongings and possessions. And she was saying how her husband grabbed the fish bowl with the little goldfish in it, and the wrong couch, not the couch she wanted. And what else did he take? Oh, a box that she thought had held all her Eckhart Tolle tapes, that actually turned out to be all the photographs of her children from when they were born up until their present day in the 20s. And how when she went back and walked the remains, the ashes that were part of her house, she found 3 of her gold rings that had literally melted. Apparently the heat of the fires had got up to 2,000 degrees. So, you know, there's a lot of devastation in that too, as far as the earth that was burnt is now very sterile, and you know, it's going to take a lot to impregnate through prayer, through our actions, life back into that soil, because even the little microorganisms have been killed in that fire. But how she'd found her rings in this beautiful melted shape, and it was just, anyway, it was just incredible listening to people's stories, and just reminding me of how resilient we actually are, and how in tragedies like this, we're reminded of our humanity, of our community, and our collective power in rebuilding. In this, there's so much strength and so much love in that. And I spent many mornings and afternoons sitting by the lagoon in Tiersen Island, watching the tide go back and forth, and at the ocean, watching, you know, the waves crash on the ocean, on the beach, and then move back into the wholeness of the ocean. You know, that the wave is not separate from the ocean, and that we're all so connected in this ebb and flow of life. And it got me thinking a lot about the ebbs in our lives, and that there are these inevitable cycles and rhythms in our lives that sometimes we feel like we have no control over, and that we also live in a culture that's telling us that we should be resisting and fighting the ebbs. And always, thank you for the love, thank you for the hearts. Hi, Lindsay. We're living in a culture that's saying resist the ebbs, resist the slow, resist the tending to your garden. That we always need to be growing and expanding and doing and in the flow. And yet for me, there was just so much acceptance in that uncomfortable part of me that wanted to just get engaged and keep doing and go into the action of how can I support and how can I serve and how can I give back, and get into the busyness of that rather than to actually appreciate this amazing opportunity to just spend time with my daughter and just be in that present moment of stillness, to let whatever wants to arise, and not necessarily have to go and do something with it. And I think that was just such a beautiful, profound lesson for me to remember, that the ebb is just as valuable in the time of slowness, of slowing down, to integrate and really to examine and contemplate what it means to be alive. What's working for us, what isn't working, what hurts, what needs tending, what needs to be celebrated, what needs to be grieved. And I felt myself go through this sort of pendulation of so many emotions, more so than normal. Hi, Maniba, nice to see you here. And please comment on the questions. I'd love to know where you're at right now in your life in this time of great ebb and flow. And if you're in South Africa, we're in this space of cold contraction, of winter, while our friends in this northern hemisphere are in this time of fire and expansion and growth, where we're kind of going down into the roots. And it was just, I found it so funny, excuse me, to have left here after having a week of what seemed like a really bad dose of the flu, or what I prefer to positively call my immune system doing this beautiful microbial update on all the mutations of the new viruses and things. It's important that we exercise our soldiers, so that our immune system can keep us healthy. And how interesting it is too, often, and maybe you can relate to, when you do allow yourself to go into the ebb and into that still point, how oftentimes we do get sick, because our bodies actually go, okay, great, there's this time, there's this ebb, there's this space for us to actually do a recalibration. Hi, Tracy. So, I left here with really sore ears and really bunged up and feeling grotty and coughing and snotting, and not a very pretty sight. I still kind of feel not much change in now going on my second week of whatever this is on what I think also is our bodies, our physical bodies, needing that ebb to recalibrate to these new 5D realities of a new consciousness that's coming in, and how having that time away was actually in the intention, which was totally non-intentional to be sick, but the tending to my own internal garden and allowing myself to not get distracted, which I think so many of us sensitive, intuitive healers do, is get into the business of other people, and we don't take care of our own internal landscape. So if you can relate, give me some hearts or give me some energy and let me know how you change that for yourselves. And don't you just love that word, tending? I always tell people, tend to your own garden, and yet here I was not allowing myself the discomfort of giving myself the ebb, the time of just allowing myself to sit in whatever it was that my body was trying to express, and also to remind myself to be tender, to be gentle with myself, to tread gently on myself, and to just enjoy the present moment and the experience that it was bringing as an opportunity for great growth in the state of contraction of having my body need time to slow down and look at, what have I been neglecting? What needs tender attention within you at this moment? So that's a question that I asked myself, and I'm still asking myself, is, where everybody is, you know, we're living in this fast age of Siri has all the information and everything is external and everything is instantaneous, and we're expected to always be on, you know, got to be turned on, and some things have inevitably slipped through the cracks, and there is that law of compensation, that something eventually is going to give. And in my case, it was my body saying, hey, you know what? You need to come inward, and you need to practice some radical self-care and just slow down. So, you know, the fact that the fact is that we can't do it all at once. We can't have our cake and eat it all at once. You know, there's these slices and these windows of opportunity where we can't be everything to everybody else if we're not giving ourselves that time of ebb. And this is really an opportunity, a great opportunity again, as we sort of come to the end of July, to get really curious, to have that beginner's mind and discern what it is that is most essential. You know, what is the most essential? What is a priority for you right now in your life? You know, what is superfluous, and what needs to be released? What is no longer what is no longer serving you? You know the feeling? Oh, Martina, you gave too much. Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if you can ever give too much. I think that's one of my major philosophies, and what I live into in my practice of being me is to lead with generosity always, but not at the expense. And I think that's the important reminder for all of us, is to not have to sacrifice or suffer at the expense of giving. You know, it's this beautiful ebb and flow again. It's just like we have to be willing to allow ourselves to receive and to be cared for and to be tendered to, as well as giving it out to other people. And this ebb part, this still point, if you can call it that, it can appear in so many different ways. You know, it's often for me a decrease of some kind, and it can sometimes look as a decrease of money. You know, for many of us that are entrepreneurs, if you're not creating, if you're not in your business, it can look like a decrease of money, which can be very unsettling. Even though it's temporary, you know, money is just an energy until we put an expectation on it. Same with time, same as our physical energy flows, or our intimacy in our relationships, our spirituality, our dance with spirit, with our internal compass, with our innate intelligence of our bodies. And I think, you know, I definitely feel this every time, which is why you stopped. Yeah. And you know, stopping too is essential in that ebb of pushing pause, as I often call it. Of, you know, it's not forever, but it's a pause. It's allowing yourself to be in the ebb. Hi, Jennifer. And it does cause a lot of anxiety, because it kind of feels like a scarcity, doesn't it? When we get caught up in what we think we should be doing, that we should always be in this constant state of flow, or this constant state of abundance, or this constant state of creation, you know, and co-creation requires that sometimes we collaborate and allow things to show up that are going to contribute in the ebb to us expanding out and being able to serve and create more impact and have a more influence over our purpose and our pathways. So, you know, the should is one of those things that I think we're all addicted to, in the judgment of breaking our own expectations. But when we start again, absolutely, Martina, absolutely. You know, that's the filling ourselves up. That's the tending to our own garden. And if we're overflowing outwards, when you pour more in, you can't receive it because you're already overflowing. And this is the fatigue. This is the exhaustion that so many of us as entrepreneurs or micropreneurs feel, is that, you know, it can't all be out. Energy doesn't just flow out. It comes in every breath that we take. And the truth for me in all of this is in my time away and being sick is there was a scarcity, there was a limitation because I couldn't exactly go for, you know, a 10-mile jog around the block without coughing my lungs out. And I had to give myself permission to take it slow and just appreciate walking on the beach, that it didn't have to be a fast-paced jog. And that ebb is always, always, always that pause, or as you said, that stop. It's always a temporary scarcity that's there to contribute and assist us and support and help us if we're willing to get insight into what is it that needs to be released so that we can be even more true, as you said, and empowered and free to give 100% of ourselves back into the world. So here's a question, and you don't have to answer it on the comments, but a great question that I've been asking myself is, what is the ebb? What is the pause? What is the slow time trying to tell me so that I can be even more empowered when the flow part of my cycle begins again? And clearly, I'm still in the slow time, but it's not a still point because I'm showing up again and I'm speaking to you. There's still contraction. I'm still allowing myself to receive that Cancerian shell to withdraw and hibernate into. So I'm maybe not fully expressing on 199% at the moment, but I'm getting more into appreciation of the ebb. So, you know, with this kind of approach to the cycle, the compass direction, the feeding cycle of all things, excuse me, when we're following, when we're open to receiving it, then we don't have to resist and fight it anymore, right? Does that make sense? My whole one side of my head is blocked, so forgive me if I'm shouting a little today. It's not my shouty voice, I'm just louder than maybe I think I am. So when we're not in resistance, when we're in that total form of lightness of being able to receive the ebb, to just allow ourselves to have that still point, that presence, the presencing of this moment, then time dissolves, right? Then we're just that space. And then we're available to all sorts of infinite possibilities and downloads that we don't often receive of the universe wanting to give us the insight or the answers or the clarity to our next step of action in the flow. So we can keep increasing the trust, trusting ourselves, trusting that the universe is putting us exactly where we need to be in every moment of expansion and contraction, of ebb and of flow, of the still point and the momentum to move. And I know for me, I was so aware, painfully aware, that in all the chaos that was going around outside of me, in Eisner, in that energy of post-fire, the post-mortem, the stories, there was a cathartic process of just being able to be open, to be the witness, and for the people that had been affected by it to tell me their stories without having to output anything other than just showing up and being open, for them to process and get their own awareness and their own insight into that. And I think that's so pivotal in how we show up in service, is just to listen and just to tune in. And I know how easy it is that we can get so absorbed in the excuse me, in the external things of doing and action, that we lose our center, we lose our compass direction. And for me, it was excuse me, it was really about cultivating a deeper sense of going deep down into the calm. The calm before the storm. This was more the storm after the calm, if that makes sense. And that's the ebb. That's that place that is that still point of cultivating calm anywhere, in any external chaos, you are your own center. You are your own anchor. And that still point within you is so critical to navigating our lives from a place of peace, peace of mind, peace of body, peace of relationship. And that ebb can really help us in fine-tuning our ability to stay centered and grounded and open no matter what's happening around us. So just remember that, that the ebb is not a failure or a problem. There's nothing to fix. It's a natural part of all things. It's in that law of compensation, and it's always supporting us if we let it. So I just invite you to really just use your next ebb, right? Your next ebb as a calm, as a still point from which you can evaluate your life, where you can have that beginner's mind to unlearn all the places where you're putting an expectation on yourself. And then you're going to see that it becomes a lot simpler, not easy, but it becomes simplistic in how you're making choices and decisions that are going to support you in being even more vital and more robust and more healthy and alive and true and real and free. Can I have your number? Absolutely. I'll send it to you after this, Martina. In fact, you can write it down right now if you want. It's 083-256-5514. It is on my website, Access Your True Nature. But sure, I would love to get to know you and see how I can support you more. So that's it. I can't remember what I titled this, but yes, we're looking, those of you who know me in my Pathways to Purpose mapping, I love looking at Enneagram and numerology and spiritual astrology. And in this ebb and flow, it kind of talks to the story of where the planets are right now. Saturn right now, the planet that has the only ring around it, and the consciousness of it to be as like a cocoon, right, is to hold you in safety. Or it could go to the contrast of feeling very restrictive, very contractive, right, like a noose around your neck. If you're not feeling safe right now, it's in Sagittarius, and it's pulling on Mars, which is that very divisive, very antagonistic, warring planet, Mars. And then you have the sun that's in Cancer, my child's birth sign, her sun sign, which is very, very sensitive. So a lot of what's going on with so many of my clients, with myself right now, is it feels like this big cosmic headache. It's literally pounding in my head right now. And Saturn is about the material world. It's about possessions. So you wouldn't have a planet to live on, but for Saturn's energy. We wouldn't have this beautiful blue planet. And Saturn comes with a very heavy burden. It's his job. And I talk about him as a he. I don't know why, but I always see Saturn as this very strong masculine energy that's really relentless in making us grow through challenges, through loss, through separation, the separation sickness. He's pushing us all the time to learn, to unlearn as well, to remember who we are, to come back to our hearts and be the best that we can be. We all want to be better, right? We all want better. And that's what Saturn invites us into. That through your perspective, Saturn can make life feel very difficult and challenging and hard right now. So, there's nothing to fix when you just embrace the fact that Saturn is there to show you where you are restricting your own growth, or where you are perhaps putting a noose around your own neck, or perhaps you can look at where you, in that ebb and flow, are not allowing yourself to receive that you are being held by that beautiful ring of Saturn as a cocoon for you to take a time out to do some tending to your own garden. That is what it is. That is the structure of our world right now is mostly very off balance. It's very off balance. And it doesn't support the many. It's stifling creativity. It's stifling vitality. And it's becoming more and more demanding to stay asleep. You know, that is the challenge. That is the healthy tension right now, if you're open to receiving it. Okay? This is not about conforming. We can't go back to the old ways. That's not freedom. That's not going to set you free. And that's not how life is supposed to be. Right? There's a feeding cycle. There's a time and place for everything. And we have to break our own restrictions. We have to break the shackles. We have to break the chains and reshape ourselves before we are going to see the collective consciousness reshape and recalibrate and reform and renew itself. All right? So we have to be that instrument, that vehicle for change to come through us. And also to know, you know, from a very allowing, gentle, compassionate place that everyone is different. No one is the same. And your truth doesn't necessarily have to look like someone else's truth. You know, if you don't keep creating on the inside, your mind will sabotage you. And you will turn, you know, you will turn to mush. That's kind of what it feels like in my head right now. We're not meant to live safe, sedentary, static, flatlined lives. And so many people I meet that come into my coaching programs, into my life, are realizing that they're protecting a life with their 6-foot fences and their money in the bank and all these places that they're actually not even alive, right? When they're not even living, because they're coming from protection and shut down and disattachment, disassociation from what it means to be fully alive. And your mind is trying so hard right now to come up with a solution to fix. Even if I'm speaking to you, you might find that's happening. And it might make you a little stir crazy, right? A little crazy in your head. But just remember, you're not your mind. You know, I remind myself a lot, and I invite you to do that too, that even though I think thoughts, I am not my thoughts. I'm bigger than my thoughts. I am infinite possibilities, infinite energy. I am my own resource. I am my own authority, as are you. That is the freedom to remember who you are. And Neptune is retrograde, right? What is Neptune? You know, think about that beautiful Neptune coming out of the sea in that ebb and the flow. It's making us partly in, and then it's partly out of our bodies. So that's where you might feel a little discombobulated like I have, where I kind of feel off, or I'm just slightly detached. The world carries on without me, whether I show up here or not. Your life will continue. My ego just wants me to think that I matter, right? My work matters. It's for me. It's for me first. I have to be in service of that and tend to my internal landscape and my mindset. Somebody's calling me, so I guess it's time for me to go. But, you know, Neptune again, it never really forces. It makes our mind go a little loopy and a little dreamy, so that we look at all the possibilities, just like the ocean. You know, you're not the drop, you are the whole ocean. But you are unique in your drop, in that you are your own wave. And with your wave, you wash up with a whole lot of stuff on the beach, right? That's your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, your past stories. But you get to leave them. You don't have to pull him back into the ocean with you. You know, that's where we are right now. And it's Neptune is very much forcing us to go deep down to the bottom of the ocean. And I have a beautiful meditation on SoundCloud where you can actually go to the bottom of the ocean and get insight and awareness from that. So check it out. I'll try and remember to post the link. But it's time. And this is the Neptunian energy that's saying, have a look at your worst fears right now. And I will explain the Saragoing that I promised that I would in the week coming. But go to the place of your deepest fears, your existential fear, your dread of your worst case scenarios, your irrational fears, and give them a voice. Have that place of fertile listening. And then look at them in the rearview mirror, right? We have a part in Chinese medicine, a part of our brain that is a projector. So as much as we're a projector, we're also an amplifier, right? We're also an emitter. So we are projecting and we are receiving in our own frequency all the time. So know that it's not about making it happen. There's no force of Neptune. Just let go of everything that you're not anymore. Let go of it so that you can make room for everything that you are to come through. Everything you are is ready to come through you now. Undoing, unlearning, unraveling everything. Everything that is not in alignment. Let go of something that you're only scared of. What your mind thinks it's going to lose. So just let go of that and know that there's nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. And I've had to go way, way deeper. I'm still going there. I'm in my own process of going deeper. Deeper down than I could ever imagine possible right now. Into my soul. You know, all this stuff on my chest is that old grief. I know there's so much grief that's releasing for me right now. My ears are facilitating me right now to tune into my internal landscape and keep out the external noise. A little irritating for my family because I can't hear them. But great for my body and for my own process. So, you know, just know that you are not your mind. Your mind, employ your mind to work for you. It's a wonderful thing. You know, a lot of people say, the mind is a dangerous thing, waste it. I say don't waste one precious drop of mindlessness. Use your mind, go into mindfulness and fill yourself up. Body, heart, mind, spirit, all of you. Okay? Do this with me. I invite you to do this with me and send me your comments and your questions this week on how you can really use these energies right now to be the truer than true you, just as I'm doing. I'm going into the trueness of me, myself, not the one, but the real, authentic you that is screaming to get out right now. And maybe you're feeling that constriction of Saturn, but you can't quite figure out which way to go. And Neptune wants you to dream. It's the dreamer. Dream more. Do your visioning processes. Meditate. Allow yourself to create your beautiful future. You know, just chill. Don't push yourself into decisions or make decisions out of fear right now or force. Don't force yourself to work harder. This is my own medicine. I'm taking a big dose for myself right now. Okay? Don't push yourself to work hard when you're just not in that headspace at all. Okay? I'm trying to drop out of my head and going back into my heart right now. So I won't maybe be a little bit more quiet than I am outwards. Just know, you know, you're sifting through a lot of old karma and ancient, very old expectations that are on your gene code, that are on your divine blueprint, your frequency. And you're starting to see your path along the way, the wrong turns, the right ones, of seeing yourself almost from the perspective of sitting on your own shoulder, right? The observer, the witness. There's no emotional attachment there. Remember, people don't break your heart, they break your expectations. So look at where are you willing to break your own expectations and create your own bright future. Okay? Look at what's trying to emerge out of you right now, so that you can be bigger and better than you have ever been before. And maybe for you, it's going to be learning how to commit or to let go or to be still, or all of it, like I've been in. You know, in this ebb and flow, in the undercurrent of Neptune, and in the we're being that bridge between heaven and earth. And with it's come a lot of underlying confusion and a very strong sense of bewilderment. It's like, oh my gosh, like these people that have just come through this fire, the phoenix rising, is that there is this beyond moment of is this even happening, or is this just all an illusion? So Neptune rules the spiritual. That's his domain in Pisces. Catching Neptune is like trying to catch water. You know, when you try and put water in your hands and it falls through. So just let it go. Neptune doesn't want you to catch and hold on to him. He wants you to show up in the infinite possibilities of the greatness of you and of the universe, and of the role that you're playing in your own purpose. And be aware too, he can be a bit of the trickster, prankster energy too. And that's the confusion, right? Where he's just like, am I just the biggest joke of this cosmic reality? You know, one big cosmic joke. And it can be frustrating and upsetting. You know, I've kind of felt like the cosmic joke a few times this last week. You know, there's an energy of play there too, as well as there is the deviousness, and that's looking at the contrast. So just get out of your own way. Like I'm really asking myself to do more and more every day. It's your time now, okay? So choose to be your own lighthouse. Choose to be that beacon of hope, okay? And let go of all those old expectations. Stretch your boundaries, right? Go to the edge. And get over yourself thinking that life has to look a certain way and that you should be I had a lot of that show up too, and a lot of old grief around regret and blaming those lower vibrational frequencies, where I'd been putting a lot on myself as far as expectations that my life should look a certain way by now, and I'm still integrating and processing a lot of that from a place of kindness and compassion and tenderness to myself. So just know, we're being shaped and trimmed all the time, and you're a wildflower, right? You're not supposed to be a topiary tree. You're not an artificial plant. You need the sun, and you need the water, and you need the earth and the ether and the possibilities. And when you do that, then you're not unhappy anymore. You know, that's why so many people are unhappy, because we're living a life of lies, and we're not trusting ourselves. We're lying to ourselves. We're lying to other people. Follow your dreams. Follow that creative artist in you, the alchemist in you, the adventurer in you, the maverick, the rule breaker. You know, it's time to dream. Listen to Neptune. Follow your dreams. Start writing things down in your journal. Be wild and crazy, or be conservative. And look at the contrast of what if you could play and do that dance of ebb and flow, and have the opportunity to let go of any expectation of that you can't be all things, right? That you don't have to be one or the other. You have infinite choice, and life's always going to have ups and downs. No matter how hard you plan, no matter how hard you try to control or contain things, like the rings of Saturn, life is full of surprises. Be willing to be surprised without capping that it can only be good surprises. Okay? Saturn has painful methods. It wants you to be authentic, real and raw. And yes, be solid and stable and grounded, but be flexible in stretching your boundaries, of being willing to be wrong, of being willing to unlearn, of being willing to have fun, exploring new territories. Go out and explore yourself. Go in and explore yourself. Go deep down. Okay? We're all here in this cosmic soup of consciousness together. And it's beautiful and it's brutal, what I call brutiful. Okay? So just know we're all energy. We're God, we're universe, we're divine. The planets create energetic paths for us. Get into alignment. Create your own solar system. You know, you just have to look into your eyes, and there's a whole cosmic landscape in there. You know, stars and planets and dimensions and time and space and reality. And each one rules a different part of our life. So Saturn is about growing up or growing in and getting stronger and braver in who you are becoming, right? Remembering who you came here to be. Neptune is all about remembering where you came from. And we're not our bodies. We're not just our physical bodies. And Earth is not our natural home. We were sent here to be the stewards of the earth. So tend to the soil of your earth. in your garden first so that you can tend to this beautiful blue planet that we are the stewards of. Let's return to stewardship. We're light beings, and we're here because we chose to be here in physical bodies. That was our own choosing. So let's go back into remembering that this is one big, beautiful adventure, and play. You know, the intensity of it all, of it right now. I know it's a little crazy making, but the next 3.5 years is about reshaping, restoring a beautiful sense of harmony in the world. And we are of and not of this world, but we are part of this world. And we start by committing to reshaping ourselves from the inside out, from deep down. That's why you are here now. It's a chance to, an opportunity to contribute back, to remedy some of this old karma and really be free of it forever. You know, and it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to have more fun. You know, I've been remembering to play more because I'd forgotten how to play. I was taking myself so seriously. It's time to reinvent, experiment, get yourself dirty. You go play in the mud. And at some point, you know, all of us have forgotten how to have fun or how to be fun. So tap into some of that. It's a beautiful place, even though, you know, we're swirling around in all of this. There's no need to panic of, you know, scheduling and showing up in action and the flurry of bills and responsibilities and obligations. We forget because the adult in us drags us down. And because we're not 18 anymore, we forget because we're tired and we're the old we feared. You know, oh my God, 40 was so old when we were little. And now we're here. So we forget and we forget and we forget. And for any of you that are in Johannesburg or Pretoria, Brave, the action group of Love Warriors, is meeting again this Sunday. And Brave can help you remember all of this. You can remember what you love, who you are, what your purpose is, what is required in the flow and the ebb of your business, in order to be the best you can be, and to give more and serve more and show up more alive in yourself on a daily basis. So if you're ready to liberate yourself from listening to the monkey mind, the voice of fear, from paying attention to your asshole brain, as I call it, and from pushing your best, most vital life to someday and leaving it there, come and join us at Brave if you want the details. We'd love to have you in the inner circle. And it's all about being bigger and braver and more alive than you thought possible. And I can help you through the hardest parts. And you'll have brave Love Warrior sisters there to celebrate your wins and kick your ass gently with their own fierce medicine and support you in up-leveling into Brave, so that you can find that courage to sit with yourself and to find out what you really think about your work and your relationships and your life and your money flows. And most people can't do that. You know, I think there is a team of psychologists who discovered that about 2/3 of men and 1/4 of women would rather self-administer electric shocks to themselves than sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. And we're going to go into, I'm going to teach you this coming Sunday how to use my presencing of my trust technique to really start getting these energetic downloads from cosmic Google and just plug you in so that you become this infinite source creator God code that you are. So our time together is really going to help you remember who you are and what you'd like to do about it, and that's why it's called the Brave Action Group. Okay, so I'd love to help you remember. I know we all forget sometimes how powerful and potent creators we are, and co-creation and collaboration is what I stand for. So that's going to be our time at Brave, and it's all about action on what you personally need in the support of Tribe. So let me know if that works for you. Let me know if you enjoyed today's conversation. I feel like I've been going forever. And just celebrate your wins. Celebrate the ebb. give yourself permission. I'm going to unplug again right now. And by the way, I will be talking with Christine on her summit tomorrow. So phone in, ask us some questions. I think it's 10 p.m. South African time. But come in and join us, because we're really going to go deeper into more of this action philosophy and life hacks, and heal from this great separation sickness. So that's it from me. Thank you for staying the course. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know where you are and how I can support you. And that's it for now. I'm done. Yep, I'm definitely done. All right. Love you lots. Bye. Mwah.